Imagine this scenario. The police contact you for your case notes regarding an ex-client. What do you do? Let's talk about it. Hello, my name is James Taylor. I'm an online counsellor, hypnotherapist, life coach, podcaster, author and YouTuber. And this channel is all about helping you in your private practice regarding anything to do with therapy. So here's the scenario. The police contact you and they want your notes from an ex-client of yours or even a present client of yours. What should you do in this kind of situation? Well, for those who may not know, a previous career of mine before I was a therapist, I was a detective in the police. So I'm coming at this by both sides of the fence. I'm wearing two hats, alright? So if the police contact you and want your notes, you do not automatically have to provide them, okay? Now, they can ask, but it doesn't mean that they get. Because when you're seeing a client, you have the same client confidentiality agreement that a person may have if they go to a doctor or a GP. Okay? So the police are not automatically entitled to the client notes. Now, if the client has given permission for you to supply the police with the notes, I would stress that you get clarification exactly what is the client or previous client given permission for. Is it just the fact that they attended therapy from this date to this date? Or is it the content of the notes? Now, I would not take a verbal on this. I would get the client to either commit to something via an email or a letter and sign it or do a digital signature so you have proof at your end that you're not breaching confidentiality should you supply the notes. So imagine where a client does not want the police to have notes, but the police want them. Well then, I would suggest you do not supply the police with the notes. Just because they've asked doesn't mean they get. So if the police ask you for the notes and you say no, what the police will have to do is go to court and they will have to tell the court why they want the notes in particular, and the threshold of reasoning has got to be quite high. Now, if a court can then issue some paperwork to the police to say, here's a court order where we agree that information is vital to what you're dealing with. So the police would then be in possession of a court order, and then that's a different dynamic. So the police would then ask you for the details of the notes as specified by the court order, and you can see a copy of the court order as well. So if you are going to provide police the notes, digital or paper, what the police don't do is come in and start taking all your kit apart and putting stuff in bags and taking it off. They don't do that. What they'll do is they can either make photocopies, they can take photographs of paper copies, or what you can do is you can provide a USB stick with the downloaded data on it. And this is similar to if the police were contacting a GP or a doctor's surgery and wanting the details. The doctor's surgery wouldn't have police officers coming in, going through the filing cabinets and looking on the database. If there was a court order in place, what would happen is the surgery would get possession of the court order. They would put all the paperwork or all the files together and they would supply copies to the police by way of this USB stick. Or the police can come in and download something onto an external hard drive. Normally, it's the person who's in the profession supplies the police with a copy or copies of the details. Now the police, if this is the case, will ask you to make a statement to say, you, therapist, have given us, the police, evidence or information relating to person X on this data. Okay? It's very, very normal practice that if they ask you to make a statement in those regards, that you do so. Of course, you don't have to if you don't want to. Now, if you don't want to make a statement to the police, and that would be quite unusual in these circumstances, what the police will do, they'll say, okay, on day, date, time, place, I, the name of the police officer, took some files from this therapist who has refused to make a statement about this. And it's just so there's continuity and there's like an evidence chain of where does this thing come from. Now, something to be aware of. When the police sees evidence, if it goes to court, if you're the person who's provided that evidence, if you're the therapist who's provided the notes, It does not automatically mean that you're going to need to go to court and give evidence, but you may have to. And it really is judged on a case-by-case basis. So it all depends how detailed your notes are. But what I would say is if you go into court, stick to your notes. Don't guess. Don't try and be super helpful and assist the court. Just say what you can remember, what you know. And you're allowed to refer to your notes to refresh your memory. Because this, with keeping notes, it could be many, many years since you last saw this client. So you never know whether you're going to be able to even remember the details or not. And it all depends how detailed your notes are. Are there reams and reams of notes? Or do you have a different form of note taking? Maybe it's bullet points. Maybe it's just what you thought. Maybe they're your notes about your thoughts, things to maybe ask in future sessions. It all depends on how you do your notes. Now, I would also encourage you to speak to your supervisor and also speak to your insurance. Your insurance may offer some legal assistance regarding this as well. Now, another thing to think about is if you give the police notes for a client that you've seen and then the case goes to court, the defence team are going to be entitled to copies of certain documents the police have. One of them will be the notes of your client. So what the police do, they automatically edit out any personal information that could help identify where the client lives, their email address, their mobile phone number, a certain club they go to, whatever it might be. So the defence team won't know how to track down the witness, okay, your ex-client. So that's not something that you have to worry about. That's something that the police do automatically if they're serving papers on the defence. And that might be a conversation if you're still in contact with your client, or it's an ex-client who's saying, yeah, you can give the police this stuff. It might be worthwhile having a conversation saying, exactly what do you want me to disclose? And confirm that in writing. But also, are you aware that if this goes to court, the defence are going to have copies to my notes? Okay. Now, the police should automatically explain that to your ex-client or your present client. It doesn't really make much difference what it is. But if you go to court, it's probably a new experience for you. I went to court thousands of times in my years with the police. The first few times, I'm quite nervous. But honestly, there's nothing to be scared of if this happens. Just go in the box, which is where you stand and give evidence. Listen to the questions. If you're not sure what the question means, or you don't understand it properly, don't guess. Just ask the person to rephrase the question. And you'll be guided by the magistrate or the judge. If you're talking very quiet, they might say, can you keep your voice up? Can you say that a bit louder? But it's nothing to be scared of. What you see on TV where barristers are throwing pens around and, you know, like in Tom Cruise in A Few Good Men, where he's right in the face of Jack Nicholson saying, I want the truth, I want the...
You can't handle the truth!
It makes for a great film. It's just not real. It's just not real at all, alright? So there's nothing to worry about, and you're not the one on trial if you do have to go to court at all, alright? So don't take this as legal advice, get your own legal advice regarding this, but I hope this helps regarding should you, or if you are required to give your notes regarding a therapy session. As always, please remember to do the like, the share and the subscribe. That helps the YouTube algorithm. And if you think of any other people who you know who are in this situation with the therapists in the wellbeing space, and they might need to just be aware of this just in case it happens, share it with them. Alright, I will see you on the next video. This is James from Therapy Business School. Bye bye.